Hello there, my name is VanNetten. I am a Simcoe resident here. I've lived here since I got married, but I am local to the area, born and raised in Jarvis, and have always called Haldeman, Norfolk home. I am here and talking because I've recently published a book. It is my husband's story, Mike VanNetten, and his COVID journey. I never intended to write a book. It came to be, I guess. Mike was hospitalized on April the 8th, after experiencing what I thought were cold and flu symptoms, but you know, in my heart of hearts, I think we knew it wasn't getting better. So on April the 8th, we took him to Norfolk General here, where he was diagnosed with COVID, but the Norfolk knew that it was beyond their care, and they were excellent, and within an hour Mike was sent to Burlington Hospital. From there, my life turned upside down. On the 10th, I received a phone call from a doctor that they were going to ventilate him. So on that day, I had a short 2-minute conversation with Mike on the phone. And it's probably what you can imagine, trying to sum up your love and encouraging words. And I remember getting off the phone with him knowing that he was going to be ventilated within the next little bit, and just sending out texts to as many people as I could think of to send Mike a text as quickly as they could, the most encouraging, a great memory, something to give him the will to get through this. And then on the 13th, I received another call that they wanted to move Mike to the General in Hamilton and put him on an ECMO machine, which is basically, it takes the place of your lungs. His lungs were not healing with the aid of the ventilator. So once again, I said yes, and he was airlifted shortly thereafter and put into the Hamilton General, where that day he went on the ECMO machine. That was the start of basically the next, he was in the hospital for 83 days. So I guess from the first day when Mike was at the Norfolk, he sent a picture to me of himself with oxygen. And, you know, and I was scared, and I put that picture on Facebook, and it was a quick post, and I just so people knew what was happening to Mike, and I asked for prayer. I asked them to think about him, and to pray for him and everything, and that was day one. And then I made a post every single day, mostly so that my family and my friends could know. It saved a phone chain. It saved having to repeat the same thing over and over again. But it caught, and every day I would have people asking to be my friend, my Facebook friend. And at that point, I've always believed, I've always had faith. I believed that Mike wasn't going to be healed without God. So I wanted people to pray, and if I wanted people to pray, then I had to accept them as my friends. And if I wanted people to pray, I had to be bluntly honest what I wanted them to pray for. And I was also very much advocating for the healthcare system and the doctors and the nurses, right from the Norfolk and the excellent care that he received there in his quick ship out to another hospital. They truly are superheroes. And smart. They are so smart that I considered them, you know, your life changes, and suddenly now I'm at a hospital every single day, and I'm seeing the same people, same nurses, the same doctors, and they become your family. That was my family, away from my family. You know, they not only they'd answer questions about Mike, but they'd ask about me, my kids, how am I doing? You know, it's life-changing. Mike wasn't talking to me, right? You know, I would just be sitting in the room with him. At first, I was only allowed an hour, and truthfully, an hour was enough. It was enough for me. It was enough for him, in the sense that I could tell I got good at reading the monitors. So I knew that he knew that I was there. You could tell by his heart rate and just his agitations. It just became my story, I guess. And every day I'd get messages, and I read every single comment that people did on Facebook. And, you know, they'd be saying, oh, we're waiting, we wait up for your post. Like, oh my goodness, the pressure, you know, sometimes I wasn't posting till 11:30 or 12 at night, and I know that people are sitting there waiting for it. You know, some people said, why are you doing this? And I said, it recaps for me what's happened. If I look back now, and if I hadn't done that, I'm not sure I would have actually believed that we lived through this. It would be a blur of what happened on each day. Rochelle here and a good friend, Anne Reed, at first put the days until Mike woke up into a book. And I sat and I watched him read that book. And he was, you know, he's not an emotional man. He's not. He's a grateful person, but I could see the emotion in him, like to see that this actually happened to him. And Rochelle had said at that time, it's up to you to do what you want, you know, but I knew then that I wanted for Mike to read the last half. And I'd had so many people say this should be a book. And so that's what we did. We made it into a book, and I did some more reflections on the days at the hospital, like how do I feel now reading it? I still get emotional thinking about days or reading what I wrote, and I mean it honestly, it came from my heart. Sometimes I was angry, most times I was sad, sometimes I was desperate. I would say, you know, Mike's up against a wall. It's not, I had those meetings with doctors where they said this is, you know, Mike has to start making some steps for himself. We're not giving up, but we don't have anything else to try right now. And then I'd ask for more prayer. And prayer works. Like I can believe, I do know it works, but to actually see it work was amazing. And to see people give credit to this healthcare system and the workers, it's close to my heart. And to see the number of people that got vaccinated because of Mike, who blatantly said they would not have gotten it if this hadn't happened. I think that Mike is the person that everybody can relate to, because he could have been your somebody, or he could have been your dad or your best friend, and he makes everybody feel like he is their friend. I mean, people from all over now still message me to see how he's doing. People caught on to my story, but I wasn't the only one living that story. There were people, I called them Mike's crew. I mean, there were 4 of them always in a room. 2, he had a roommate, and then an open door, and 2 in the room next door. The most quiet floor ever, because there's nobody talking. So when I talked, I would talk to the others, the crew, and I always sang, and I'd say I sang for the crew, right? And they couldn't really complain because I had a captive audience. So, but there were just certain things I did. People, I think, related to the love taps I did every day before I left, because I would not ever risk getting Mike sick by I couldn't even get close enough to his body. There were so many tubes and wires, but before I would leave, I would always love tap on his wrist for each of our kids, for myself, and for all his family and friends, right? And he does remember taps, right? When he woke up, he's like, he doesn't remember a whole lot. He had crazy dreams, which he's still trying to figure out a little bit. And he goes, I remember taps. I'm like, those were the love taps. I did those every single day. It's special to me because I can now see where we were and what happened, and I can see how it's affected people's lives. Some days, I'm grateful every day because Mike is still here. But some days I get so angry at what COVID has taken away from me and from my family. But then I have the people that text me that they lost their loved one, right? And those they're heartbreaking to be involved in so many people's lives who just think that you can give them something, some sort of hope, you know. And I try, but you know, I don't know why Mike was saved. I love that he was, but I also think that he's reached a lot of people. I always say I don't think there's anybody who has the reach of Mike that could raise awareness for COVID, raise vaccine awareness, raise healthcare awareness, and raise God up, and could pull himself out of it. And I know that he didn't pull himself out of it on his own, but there was that will inside of him to keep going, right? Every day I'd just say, this is your Goliath. You have to be the David. You have to fight this. I said, rest when you can, but when they ask you to fight, you have to fight. And he did. Life is different now. It's good. He continues with physio, right? He lost over 50 pounds in the hospital, all muscle. So it's building back up muscle. It's regaining strength. And he is the experiment. So there is no answer as to what he'll be like in a year, right? He thinks he's going to be, and he is. I could keep him like he is right now, and I'd be perfectly happy, right? But he'd like to get a little stronger. I also know that if it weren't for the ECMO machine, he wouldn't be with us anymore, because they showed me pictures of his before and after lung photo, and she just said the ventilator would have never saved Mike. So it's amazing, and I think that hopefully this book gives solace to people, gives them something to be grateful for, because there's so much in this world right now that is dividing people. And we could argue all day about whether COVID is real or not. It is real. I don't want anybody to ever walk in my shoes, or for their special person to be the one laying in that bed, because it's a nightmare that you don't want to be a part of. But I think there's a lot of hope in this world too. And I saw miracles happen every day, and hope happen every day. And I called them eye smiles, because you can't see anybody behind a mask at the hospital, but the eye smiles of the workers when things are going good. Or the biggest thing was I'd call down 5 or 6 times a day, but always in the morning I wanted to hear that it was an uneventful night. If it was eventful, that was not good. So just their lingo, their uneventful nights were fantastic, and uneventful days in a good way were good. I guess it's a give back. It was just, I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad that I wrote every day, even the painful days, the good days, and followed his journey right from day one to the day he walked out of the hospital, because that day was such a tribute to those workers. Like, they were so proud of him. It was like watching your kindergartner go to school for the first day, them all watching him walk out of the hospital. And we're still in touch with a lot of those doctors and the nurses, and my cousin works on that floor, and she says it takes her sometimes half an hour to get down the hallway, because 20 people have to stop and ask her how Chicken is doing, right? So she'll often just text me for an update so that she can let everybody know how he's doing. Yeah, I hope that people appreciate the book, or if they are in this journey, or if they do have a loved one. It doesn't have to be COVID, but whatever it is, so many people have different illnesses or needs or mental health right now. Just looking for a little bit of how I got through it, or how people got me through it. I mean, friends and family, this is a wonderful community that we live in. I can't believe the outreach that we had, from the porch lights on to Chicken for Chicken, to t-shirts, to car decals, to everything. It truly, you don't find that type of stuff in big cities. I'm very honored. Mike has always loved Norfolk, and I didn't really realize how much he loved it until this happened, and the support has been amazing, and he truly is right when he says there is no better place than Haldeman, Norfolk, because you know, there isn't. And as a farming community and as a farmer, he's just so grateful to be able to be back on a farm and in a tractor and doing the things that he loves to do. During the whole time, we had a saying, it just became our saying. I put it in every single post, steady as we go. And that came from, once again, my cousin Chris, who is on that floor. You know, she'd say, just steady as we go. There's going to be good days and bad days. There's going to be 2 steps forward and you're going to take 4 steps back. And she was right? And she'd just say, steady as we go. Don't get yourself worked up, Sarah. Don't let yourself get excited. Don't get too caught up in numbers, in any of that kind of stuff. So, and it always had a purple heart behind it. I'm not really sure where that came. I think because the lights in the town were purple. But so the book is called Steady as We Go by Sarah VanNetten, and it is available on Amazon. And it's also going to be available at our Simcoe branch of the library for takeout. I'm really excited. I'm really honored, privileged, humbled that this is now an opportunity, and it's never something that I aim for. I never ever grew up wanting to be an author at all, but I'm happy that this is where I am because I still have Mike. I do believe I'm stronger in my faith and in my friendships and in my appreciation of life, because it truly, every day is a gift. And you know, Rochelle had asked me to answer a question, where do I see myself in the future? And I don't even know. I honestly don't know, because I now know that every day is a gift, and if you get a next day, you're extremely lucky. So I can say where I'd like to be, but I don't know where I will be, because, you know, I don't think that way anymore, because I just think that today appreciate it, tomorrow hope for, and appreciate all your family, your friends, and the life that you have. To everybody who's watched this, I appreciate it so much. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your support. I appreciate that you have taken the time to care about Mike and I and our family, and I wish you all the health and happiness and a normal future to come. Thank you so much.